Part 73. From the City to the Strongest in the Universe. Author, G. Difeng Ren. Chapter 721. At the Li family, Li Yang's parents, Li Kuahe and Zhaoro, were all there. Their biggest hobby before was to travel to various planets. This time when Li Yang came back, they also came back from other planets. Yang is back. Looking at Li Yang, Zhaoro poked her head out of the kitchen. Your father and I are preparing food. You can try it later. This is what your father and I learned on other planets, Zhaoro said with a smile. Hearing this, Li Yang smiled and said, Okay, Mom. Earth has its own delicacies, and other planets naturally have them too. When traveling, Li Yang's mother Zhaoro was fascinated by this. This time, she and Li Kuahe planned to prepare a feast of delicacies from other planets for Li Yang to taste. Li Yang naturally supported his parents' interests and hobbies. What is his current status? With enough resources, one person can be accumulated to the world realm. These resources were difficult for Li Yang to obtain before, but now these resources are completely trivial for Li Yang. Therefore, even if Li Yang's parents do not practice, they can easily reach the world realm, which is a lifespan of 1 million years. It's been a long time, so of course I have to find something I'm interested in. As he was talking, a young man suddenly walked in from outside the door. When he saw Li Yang, he came over excitedly and said, Dad. The man was Li Yang's son Li Dong. Looking at Li Dong, Li Yang smiled and asked, Xiaodong, when did you come back? When he returned to Earth before, Li Dong was still on the road. Unexpectedly, after a trip to the bottom of the sea, Li Dong came back. Just 2 minutes ago. Li Dong smiled and said, he looked at his father, his eyes full of admiration, Dad, you are so powerful, you can even kill the emperor. The things about the inheritance land are basically known to the middle and high-level people of the human race, but not many people know about it below, but Li Dong definitely knows. That's the emperor. There are only 2 emperors in the entire Yangyuan star continent, Emperor Yangyuan and Emperor Jianhan, and neither of them is a match for his father. Dad, you don't know that not long after the news of your killing the emperor came out, I was in Yangyuan seeing Zhou, and the Emperor Yangyuan sent people over to give me a lot of cultivation resources and cultivation insights, Li Dong said. Oh, hearing this, Li Yang looked at Li Dong, resources? Cultivation insights. This Emperor Yangyuan has changed. Li Dong's face was obviously full of disdain, and he said, Dad, you have shown such strong strength, this Emperor Yangyuan must want to please you. I didn't want those things, even if they put the things down and left, I didn't touch them. This time when I came back, those things were left there. Hearing this, Li Yang smiled and said nothing. For the Emperor Yan Jiayuan's active friendship, he naturally didn't feel anything in his heart. The earth was threatened by Lu Yu of the Zunli Emperor's family, and he went to ask the Emperor Yangyuan, but the Emperor Yangyuan turned a blind eye. Before Li Dong was arrested, his teacher Dao Luzongju went to ask the emperors in Yangyuan Xingzhou to help them find Li Dong in the turbulence prison, but the Yangyuan emperor turned a blind eye. Now, his strength has reached the level of a powerful emperor, and he can even easily kill the Yangyuan emperor. The Yangyuan emperor took the initiative to make friends with him. Li Yang naturally did not have any good feelings about this behavior. Dad has a lot of cultivation resources. If you have any questions this time, you can ask me, Li Yang said with a smile. Hearing this, Li Dong's eyes lit up and said, Dad, how long will you stay this time? He looked at Li Yang expectantly. At this time, Zhou Yao also came over and happened to hear Li Dong's words, and then his eyes also looked at Li Yang. Li Yang smiled and said, 3 years. That's great, Dad. Hearing this time, Li Dong was immediately excited. Before, Li Yang didn't stay at home for a long time. He left not long after returning every time. He hadn't been back for 100 years before. Although the virtual world is similar to the real world, and they often meet in the virtual world, the feelings in their hearts are different after all. Hearing Li Yang's words, Zhou Yao's face also showed joy. It's time to eat. At this time, Li Kuahe and Zhao Rou came out with several dishes. The family had a good meal together, with constant laughter and joy. At this time, Li Yang's heart was very peaceful and full of fulfillment. These people in front of him were what he cared about the most, and they were also the motivation for his cultivation. Time flew by, and Li Yang stayed on the earth with peace of mind. While practicing, he also took time to accompany his family. He would go out in 3 years, and once he went out, he didn't know how long it would take for him to come back. In this way, 3 years passed quickly. At this time, Han Mo's soul had recovered a lot, but he still couldn't get out of the soul crystal. The broken soul crystal was like a cage, completely locking Han Mo. And repairing the soul crystal was equivalent to a gap in the soul crystal. Dad, Mom, I'm leaving. Zhou Yao, I'll leave the housework to you. Xiaodong, practice hard. After saying goodbye to his family, Li Yang set off again. Deep in the sea, Li Yang stood. In front of him, Han Mo waved his right hand, and then a space teleportation array appeared in front of him. I didn't expect there was a teleportation array on the seabed of the Earth. Li Yang sighed. And this was left by Han Mo, who was at the master level. A space teleportation array requires at least an emperor who has mastered the laws of space to make it. Although Li Yang is powerful now, he is still a long way from making a space teleportation array. It took me 10,000 years to make this space teleportation array. Han Mo also looked at the gradually revealed space teleportation array and shook his head and said, in this way, even if I am killed by the soul, I can be resurrected here directly through the soul crystal, and then fully recovered through the soul stone, and finally open the space teleportation array to leave. He took all the steps into consideration. Death, resurrection, full recovery, leaving through the space teleportation array, a complete resurrection process. However, the only thing he didn't expect was that the soul crystal was broken. But now he doesn't have to regret his omission, because he is about to be resurrected. Let's go, Li Yang. Han Mo didn't say much, and said directly, it will take us 5 years to go there this time. The place where the supreme holy artifact exists is extremely far away from the human territory. Even the space teleportation array made by Han Mo, the master, takes 5 years. Okay, Li Yang nodded and quickly entered the space teleportation array. As he entered, the space teleportation array also disappeared directly. Thanks to Zero Eta for the 100 reward, thank you. End of this chapter. From the City to the Strongest in the Universe. Author, G. Difeng Ren. Chapter 722. Call out. In the space teleportation array, the aircraft was advancing rapidly. At this time, Li Yang took out a drop of the blood of the ancestor dragon from the aircraft. It will take 5 years to reach the place, Han Mo said. Don't waste these 5 years. Continue refining. After breaking through to become a god and greatly improving his strength, Li Yang was naturally able to refine the essence and blood of the ancestral dragon. Just kidding, the strength has skyrocketed from the foundation of the 5 line gods to surpassing that of ordinary emperors. How big of an improvement must this progress be? How many sources of laws have been absorbed? If you are powerful, you will naturally have more essence and blood to refine the ancestral dragon. Just like many gods have difficulty refining a drop of the blood essence of the ancestor dragon, but after truly breaking through and becoming an emperor, it is not difficult to refine 1 or 2 drops of the essence blood of the ancestor dragon. There are even some emperors who are suitable for refining, who can refine more than a dozen drops, and even increase their strength tenfold. From being unable to refine at the divine level to refining at least 1 or 2 drops at the emperor level, it obviously shows that the stronger the strength, the easier it is to refine the blood essence and blood of the ancestor dragon. Moreover, Li Yang's efficiency in refining the essence and blood of the ancestral dragon is far greater than that of others, and he is estimated to be able to refine more. Not to mention anything else, if he is refined to the limit, the basics alone are estimated to be able to surpass the powerful emperor who masters the two fusion laws. This is not arrogance. 3 years have passed. For more than 3 years, Li Yang has been refining the essence and blood of the ancestral dragon, but it still has not been refined to the limit. But at this time, his foundation is completely equivalent to that of a powerful emperor who has mastered the two fusions. No one thought that in just over 3 years, Li Yang's strength would improve so much. Time flies, and 5 years have passed in Li Yang's refining room. Inside the aircraft, Li Yang sat cross-legged silently. There was a drop of blood in his hand, which was the blood of the ancestor dragon. There is only half a drop of the blood essence and blood of the ancestor dragon left at this time. After a while, Li Yang suddenly stopped. Finally reached the limit. Looking at the blood of the ancestor dragon, Li Yang showed a smile on his face. He sighed in his heart. Almost 5 years have passed, and it took him more than 8 years to absorb the essence and blood of the ancestor dragon before he truly reached his limit. Buzz. At this time, Han Mo's soul floated out. He looked at Li Yang and said, "Boy Li Yang, have you been refined to the limit? How is your strength now?" There was obviously surprise in his eyes, and he obviously did not expect that Li Yang would break through and become a god this time, and he would absorb so much blood essence of the ancestor dragon. Strength. Li Yang smiled slightly, his heart moved, and then the ancestral dragon essence and blood absorbed in his body gathered together and slowly emerged on the surface of his body. These energies actually formed a pair of blood-colored armor. Refining the blood essence of the ancestral dragon can greatly increase the strength, and refining enough blood essence of the ancestral dragon can condense the bleeding dragon armor. This blood dragon armor is completely condensed from the blood of the ancestral dragon. As long as it is condensed, it can be activated as a whole. Li Yang's condensed blood dragon armor before was still vague and not solid. But now, this armor is extremely solid, like a real holy weapon armor. My strength should be right in the middle between powerful emperors and top emperors. Li Yang smiled. Han Mo nodded and said, "Your strength was somewhere between ordinary emperors and top divine emperors before, but now it has improved so much that your overall strength has increased by about 10 times. 10 times, this is the limit that a strong emperor can reach by absorbing the essence and blood of the ancestral dragon. At this time, Li Yang has actually reached it. Those people are emperors, and he is just a god. Has the god been refined to the limit of the emperor's realm?" Hearing Han Mo's words, Li Yang smiled slightly and said, "Almost 10 times. He clenched his fists, feeling the surge in strength, and couldn't hide the joy on his face. Strength is the foundation of everything. That's right. With your strength and the full set of high-level holy weapons on your body, even if you fight against the top emperors, you won't be at a big disadvantage. If it's some top emperor who is relatively poor and doesn't even have a mid-level sacred weapon, you might even have a tie." Han Mo sighed. At this time, Li Yang, using the treasures on his body, was not far away from the top emperor. How long has it been? It has been less than 10 years since Li Yang broke through to the realm of gods, and Li Yang's strength has improved so much. From a powerful emperor to a top emperor, many powerful men have spent countless years struggling to bridge this gap. Just like the human race, there are hundreds of powerful emperors, but there are only a dozen or so top emperors. Those hundreds of powerful emperors have been stagnant for countless years, but it is difficult to reach the threshold of the top emperors. At this time, Li Yang is ranked among the top 100 in terms of total strength of the entire human race. After a few words of praise, Han Mo opened his mouth to attack Li Yang as before. "You don't have to worry about ordinary top emperors, but you are still no match for the peak emperors above. or even the invincible emperors. He looked at Li Yang and said softly, "I know." Hearing Han Mo's words, Li Yang did not refute, but nodded. Those who master the three fusion laws are the top emperors, and top emperors also have strengths and weaknesses. For example, Li Yang's eighth senior brother killed the emperor, and his strength was 3 times that of the top emperor. 3 times the difference in strength. If we really fight, it will take some time to destroy the emperor, and it is entirely possible to kill the top emperor. The strength of the Emperor of Destruction is several times that of the top emperors. A strong person who has the ability to kill the top emperors is called a peak emperor. And above the peak emperor, there are the emperors of the invincible level, who are less than 10 in the entire universe. This level of powerhouse can kill the top emperor in seconds. Even if it takes time to deal with the peak emperor, it can be killed. It is a well-deserved king of the emperor realm. Of course, there are very few emperors at the invincible level, and there are not many peak emperors. At this time, Li Yang's strength is definitely at the forefront among all the emperors in the universe. Standing up, Li Yang stretched his body, and there was a crackling sound from his bones. He has been refining the blood of the ancestor dragon at ease, and has basically not moved for nearly 5 years. Han Mo, how long will it take to reach the place you said? Li Yang asked. Han Mo said, 10 days. 10 days, Li Yang nodded. There was obviously a hint of expectation in his eyes. It's finally here. In 10 days, he will be able to see the supreme holy weapon, and it is an ownerless supreme holy weapon. So Li Yang also knew that the possibility of him recognizing his master was very small, but he naturally wanted to see him. This feeling was like buying a lottery ticket and hoping that he would win the prize. Li Yang was now looking forward to becoming the winner. If he succeeded, he would really reach the sky in one step. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. From the City to the Strongest in the Universe. Author, G. Difeng Ren. Chapter 723. This is an extremely wild area, completely dark, with only some star-like stars shining faintly. There is no life within at least tens of billions of light-years around it, and it is very desolate. Buzz. At this time, in a place that had been silent for who knows how many years, there were fluctuations in the laws of space. Then, a space teleportation array appeared, and an aircraft flew out directly from it. Brush. The aircraft came out and then disappeared, and then a young man appeared here. Han Mo, is this the place where the supreme holy weapon exists? This young man is naturally Li Yang. At this time, Li Yang glanced around and asked. This is the place Han Mo mentioned. He is now powerful and has a wide range of soul exploration. Within the scope of his soul, everything around him was darkness and silence. When a gust of wind blew, he felt that the wind was carrying strong corrosiveness. In Li Yang's opinion, if he was too weak, he would not be able to resist this corrosiveness. Live. In 200 years of practice, this was the first time Li Yang had seen such a harsh environment. In such an environment, an ordinary person would probably have to reach at least the world level to stay here for a long time. This seems to be a place abandoned by the universe. Is this where the supreme sacred artifact is? Yes, the ghost of Soul Inc. appeared. He looked here and said, this is an extremely remote area in the universe. It is not suitable for any life to exist. It is not good for the understanding of laws, so there are no ethnic groups or even life nearby. Just like the Earth, some places are very suitable for people to live in, with warm winters and cool summers, but places like deserts and swamps are definitely not suitable for people to live. The same is true throughout the universe. There are also core areas and remote areas in the universe. The core area is equivalent to the oasis flat land on the Earth, while the remote area is equivalent to the desert on the Earth. In the core area, it is easier to comprehend the laws. In these remote areas, it is difficult to comprehend the laws. It seems that the origin of the laws of the universe has ignored this place. According to many criteria such as the speed of comprehending the law, the huge universe is divided into core places, partial core places, ordinary areas, remote areas, etc. And the core area is naturally occupied by the 10 major ethnic groups with the founder ancestors, including the human race and the demon race. The strongest groups such as the Kongli Dragon, Thunder Star Beast group, etc. occupy a small part of the core area, and most of the core areas, and so on. The weaker the ethnic group, the worse the local environment it occupies. This is actually one of the reasons why many ethnic groups rely on more powerful ethnic groups. Just like there is a master, Li Yang once had a chance in it, the Lei Ling tribe, one of the human races, there is a master in this Lei Ling tribe, which can completely stand in the universe and does not need to rely on the human race. If they depend on the human race, even if the human race gives them respect, they will still be subject to some restrictions from the human race. However, they chose the path of relying on the human race for a better cultivation environment. Although they will be restricted, their ethnic strength will become stronger and stronger in this human race territory. Hun Mo also glanced around and said, I came here accidentally too, intending to find a place to concentrate on refining weapons and also looking for some rare ores. He is a weapon refiner and even told Li Yang that he is one of the most powerful weapon refiners in the universe. There are too many ores in the universe, and these ores are naturally not man-made. In different environments, the ores produced may also be different. No strong man dares to say that he has seen all the ores in the universe. As a weapon refiner, Han Mo would go to various places to see if he could make any new discoveries, so he came to this barren place in the universe that was extremely remote and without any ethnic groups or life. After I stayed here for a while, I accidentally discovered the special substance of soul crystal. Hun Mo kept talking. When he was talking, he didn't notice that Li Yang's expression changed slightly. After he came here, the mysterious sword in his mind fluctuated violently. This fluctuation was stronger than ever before, and even gave Li Yang the feeling that this small sword was about to fly out of his mind. What's going on? Li Yang's heart changed slightly. Did the mysterious little sword discover something again? Every fluctuation of the mysterious sword showed that there was an extremely precious treasure nearby that would be of great use to him. As the level of this treasure increases, as his strength increases, the treasure becomes more and more precious. The last time the mysterious sword fluctuated was at the inheritance place of the fusion law. At that time, his first inheritance ended, and the supreme holy weapon in the inheritance place began to bestow upon him treasures based on his progress. And the mysterious little sword actually interfered with the consciousness of the supreme holy weapon in the land of inheritance, and sent the top holy weapon devouring token into his hands. The devouring token, in the land of inheritance, can block all attacks except those from the founder of the world, including the top master. You can imagine how precious this treasure is. Even outside the land of inheritance, the devouring token is a top-notch holy weapon. A top-notch holy weapon that even a master may not have. His heart moved slightly. At this time, Li Yang quickly controlled the small sword. Although the small sword was controlled, it exuded extremely strong rapid fluctuations, which seemed to urge Li Yang to immediately go to the place it sensed. At this time, Li Yang was obviously a little excited. The mysterious sword brought him the devouring token last time, so this time must be different. Although excited, Li Yang's face did not change much. Next to him, Han Mo continued, Li Yang, let's go to a low peak inside this mountain. There is an entrance there. Okay, Li Yang nodded, and continued to move forward as Han Mo said, and soon came to a place. Buzz. After arriving here, the mysterious sword fluctuated violently. Feeling this fluctuation, Li Yang said in his heart, if nothing unexpected happens, This mysterious sword may sense the supreme holy weapon that Han Mo said. According to the fluctuations from the mysterious sword, the place it urged Li Yang to go to was also the inside of this mountain. After entering the inside of the mountain, not far away, a series of strange black mists appeared. The whole mountain was filled with this mist, making it impossible to see the direction clearly. Li Yang, fly 100 million kilometers to the left, and then fly 1 billion kilometers to the right. Although he didn't know the direction, Han Mo obviously knew the path here. Following Han Mo's guidance, Li Yang was getting closer and closer to the supreme holy weapon. As he got closer, the fluctuations of the mysterious sword became stronger and stronger, almost flying out of Li Yang's mind. Thanks to Hisenling for the 500 reward, and 08 for the 100 reward, thank you. From the city to the strongest in the universe. Author, G. Difeng Ren. Chapter 724. The fluctuations of the mysterious little sword are getting bigger and bigger. Li Yang's face was calm, but he thought secretly in his heart. The mysterious sword is very mysterious. Li Yang has guessed whether the mysterious sword is a supreme holy weapon? In fact, if he wanted to prove it, he could take the mysterious sword out of his mind. After all, he had done it when he first started practicing, but he was too weak at the time and couldn't even hold it for a second. But now, his strength has reached this level. Even if the mysterious sword is a supreme holy weapon, he can still hold it for a few seconds. He also wanted to take it out and try it out to see how powerful it was. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Based on its power judgment, he has a high probability of being able to judge the level of the mysterious sword instead of continuing to guess. But after Li Yang met Han Mo, he never took out the mysterious sword for the last time. The key is that this little sword is so weird. The inner skills alone allow Li Yang's world tree clones to continue to transform, and so far 6 clones have even been born. Now it is even possible to give birth to a 7th body. And it can also easily give birth to a clone of the natural god level. This makes Han Mo, who dominates the realm, and even his teacher, the eternal ancestor, feel surprised and incredible. Therefore, Li Yang has never exposed the matter of the mysterious sword. His intuition tells him that it is best not to let the second person know about the mysterious sword. Just kidding, even the founder of the world was surprised, which shows how special this little sword is. Now, the mysterious little sword can even sense the supreme sacred artifact. Left. Right. Han Mo continued to talk about the route. Diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit. In fact, even if Han Mo didn't say anything, Li Yang also knew that because the fluctuations coming from the mysterious sword were in a fixed place, as long as he kept approaching there, he would definitely be able to find the correct path. Soon, Li Yang came to a place where there were 9 cave entrances. Li Yang, enter the 8th cave entrance. Han Mo continued. In this way, Li Yang kept moving forward. How powerful is he? I don't know how far I can fly for a second, but here, it took me a full 3 hours to finally reach a place. At this time, he passed through another cave entrance, but the fog suddenly disappeared, and then Li Yang entered a huge space with a diameter of at least tens of thousands of kilometers. There is nothing else in the space, only strange black stones. Arrive. When he came here, Li Yang also breathed a sigh of relief. This was the place Han Mo was talking about. But just as he breathed a sigh of relief, Li Yang was shocked. Because, he suddenly felt that he could not understand any laws. What's going on? He has been to many places, whether in the ruined space or the secret space, etc., and he can actually understand the laws and continue to practice. Bashu 69 knew. But now, he feels that the entire world has completely erased the laws of this space. Li Yang, do you feel it? At this moment, Han Mo's voice sounded in his mind. Can't you feel the law anymore? Seeing Li Yang's surprised expression, Han Emo seemed to have guessed what he was thinking and said softly. His figure also floated out at this time. Han Emo, what's going on? Li Yang asked quickly. The rules of the universe are everywhere, and so are the laws. You can understand the laws anywhere, it is just a stronger or weaker one. Rightward arrow. This is universally recognized. However, now he can't feel any law fluctuations, as if there is no such thing as law. I don't know. Faced with Li Yang's inquiry, Han Emo simply shook his head. Don't know, Li Yang was stunned. Looking at Han Mo's appearance just now, he thought he knew the answer. Han Emo shook his head and said, when I first came here, it was like this. I have studied this, but I didn't find any reason. I can only say that the universe is so big, anything can happen, and this is a place where the rules of the universe are out of whack. Omission. Li Yang was secretly shocked. Throughout the universe, rules are everywhere. It can be said that even the founder of the world is under the rules of the universe. There are actually places that are omitted by the rules of the universe. Okay, it's useless to say this. Do you see that hole? Han Emo said. His eyes looked somewhere. At this time, Li Yang also looked at one place. Under this space, there is a hole, and there is a strange film blocking the hole. Buzz. At this time, Li Yang's face was calm, but the mysterious sword in his mind was about to fly out, and Li Yang could hardly suppress it. Needless to say, Li Yang actually guessed what was inside. The supreme sacred artifact. At this time, Li Yang's heart couldn't help but beat. He was about to see the highest level treasure in the universe. When Li Yang guessed something in his mind, Han Emo didn't do any charades and said directly, going through there is another space, and in that space is the place where the supreme holy weapon is located. Speaking of this, Han Emo even showed a hint of fear in his eyes. In his previous experience, he was indeed frightened by that supreme holy weapon. Even if he came here again, he not only had no idea of getting the supreme holy artifact, but also had an impulse to stay away. Han Emo, can I go take a look? Li Yang asked, looking at the film. He didn't know if there would be any danger in the space of the supreme holy artifact. Han Emo had said before that when he first saw the supreme holy artifact with the strength of the Lord, his soul felt uncomfortable. Okay. Hearing Li Yang's question, Han Emo nodded and said, you are only in the God realm now, and the impact you feel when entering that space is only for the God realm, and your real strength is now close to the top emperor, so you can completely withstand the impact of the soul-type supreme holy artifact. At the beginning, he was in the Lord realm, but his strength was also at the Lord level. The impact was against the Lord, so he felt the pressure. And Li Yang was in the God realm, and the impact was against the God, but Li Yang's strength reached the emperor level. Li Yang, who was the emperor, naturally could easily withstand the attack at the God level. In fact, the pressure of other supreme holy artifacts in the universe is fixed, and it will not change at all because of different realms. Even if a god or emperor encounters an ownerless supreme holy artifact, he cannot get close to it at all. The pressure fluctuations it emits are difficult for them to bear even if they are separated by billions of miles. But the supreme holy artifact in front of him is completely different. Han Emo did a lot of experiments at the beginning, and also controlled the strong men of different realms to experiment separately, so he knew these situations. Of course, the supreme holy artifact here is indeed different from other supreme holy artifacts. After all, even if other supreme holy artifacts kill him, it is impossible to reach the level of soul crystal being broken. From the city to the strongest in the universe. Author, G. Difeng Ren. Chapter 725. Hearing what Han Emo said, Li Yang nodded, and he walked towards the film. Yan. At this time, Li Yang's eyes were full of expectations. The entire universe, the ownerless supreme holy weapon is just ahead. After passing through the film, Li Yang's sight suddenly changed, and he appeared in an endless space. This space, I don't know how big it is, with Li Yang's soul can only cover a very small area. This is. After entering this space, Li Yang subconsciously looked at a place, and a trace of shock appeared in his eyes. In this endless space, there is nothing, there is only a mirror. That mirror is very large, I don't know how much the diameter is. It emits misty light. The whole mirror looks a bit like the mirror on the earth, showing purple, and there are also incomparably wonderful secret patterns around the mirror and on the mirror handle. In the endless space, the huge purple mirror is unknown how big it is, like the sun, occupying absolute light. Is this purple mirror the supreme sacred artifact? Li Yang looked at it, and even though he was prepared, there was a hint of shock in his eyes. In his feeling, it seemed as if the supreme sacred artifact in front of him was the only one in the universe. Even time and space became distorted under its fluctuations, stagnating for a while and accelerating for a while. In Li Yang's feeling, its power was no less than that of the supreme sacred artifact of the human race, the brilliant star river. It might be an ownerless treasure, or it might be too close. Li Yang felt that this power was even stronger than the brilliant star river. At this time, Li Yang also understood why Han Mo judged it to be a soul-type supreme sacred artifact. On this treasure, soul fluctuations were emitting all the time, and these soul fluctuations even attacked him and entered his body. Of course, Li Yang completely endured it at this time. After a brief shock, Li Yang became excited again. In front of him was not only a supreme sacred artifact, but also an ownerless supreme sacred artifact. Buzz. At this time, the mysterious little sword in Li Yang's mind continued to fluctuate violently, and the only consciousness it conveyed to Li Yang was to recognize the treasure as its master. Under this urging, Li Yang had the urge to try immediately. Li Yang, boy, do you want to recognize the master now? Seeing Li Yang's expression, the voice of Han Mo in the soul crystal came at this time. He is a remaining soul. He felt pressure from the soul impact of this supreme holy weapon in his heyday, and now he must be more unbearable. So when Li Yang entered this space, he hid in the soul crystal again. Even if you want to recognize the master, we must be fully prepared, Han Mo said. Li Yang does not seem to be an impulsive person, but the supreme holy weapon in front of him is here. If the news here spreads, all the creators of the entire universe may come and fight for it frantically. Just kidding, except for the demon race, there are two supreme holy weapons. Even the human race has only one supreme holy weapon. There are also some other tribes with the founders of the world who do not have a single supreme sacred artifact, which shows how rare the supreme sacred artifact is. In the entire universe, there are only about 10 well-known supreme sacred artifacts. Even the founders of the world are going crazy, so it is normal for Li Yang to behave like this. Li Yang took a deep breath, forcibly stopped the steps he wanted to take, and said, "Let's go, Han Mo, come in after you are ready." He is naturally not an impulsive person. Han Mo is right, it is too dangerous if you are not ready. Even if the mysterious little sword is so urgent, he has to wait a little longer. After all, Han Mo, who had reached the realm of domination before and even had the clone of the world tree, fell in the process of recognizing the master, so you can imagine the crisis here. After taking another look at the supreme sacred artifact in front of him, Li Yang walked out, and he appeared in this strange space that isolates the rules of the universe again. There was a thin film in front of him, which resisted all the pressure and soul impact of the supreme sacred artifact. Then, Han Mo immediately floated out of the soul crystal again. Li Yang, I am in the state of soul now, and I can't do many things, so I have to rely on you to repair the soul crystal, Han Mo said. Before, he only used soul stones to repair his soul. As for refining tools in the state of soul, he couldn't do these. I will teach you how to repair soul crystals. Li Yang did not refuse, nodded, and said, Okay. Han Mo had said before that he had to rely on his help to repair soul crystals. Han Mo's soul fluctuated slightly, and a message appeared in Li Yang's mind. These were the specific methods to repair soul crystals. Soul crystal refining requires the black stones in this space. It is difficult to refine, but repairing is obviously simpler than refining. It's like making a computer, the program is very complicated. People who don't understand computers can't make a computer at all. But now Li Yang doesn't need to make a computer, but this computer is broken, and some parts have problems. Even if Li Yang doesn't understand computers, if there are people around him who keep guiding him, he can still repair the computer if only some parts have problems. The soul crystal was taken out, and the two broken soul crystals could be perfectly fused together at a glance. This space is isolated from the world, and even the laws of the universe. I felt that this place was special, so I stayed here and continued to study it, and finally made a treasure like the soul crystal that violated the rules of the universe. Han Mo exclaimed. The soul is the essence of life. Even if a person dies, it is the body that dies, and the soul still exists in this world, so it can be resurrected by reversing time and space. But if the soul is killed, it is really dead and cannot be resurrected. Even if there is a clone, it is useless. However, with the soul crystal, a trace of soul can be forcibly intercepted. Even if it is killed by the soul, the trace of soul in the soul crystal will not dissipate, avoiding the rules of the universe. Relying on this trace of remaining soul, you can be resurrected again. This is the principle of the soul crystal. In fact, Han Mo also made the soul crystal by chance. He and Li Yang were talking, and he seemed to be missing the past, or because he was about to be resurrected, he was too excited. So, if you are not in this space, you can't refine the soul crystal, Li Yang asked curiously. Yes. Han Mo nodded and said, there are cosmic rules in the outside world, and soul crystals violate the cosmic rules and forcibly intercept a trace of soul. I have tried it before. Even if the soul crystal is successfully refined, it cannot leave a trace of soul in the outside world. Of course, there may be another strange place that is isolated from the cosmic rules, and soul crystals should also be refined. Li Yang nodded. The universe is indeed very wonderful, and anything can happen. While talking, Han Mo also kept guiding Li Yang. At this time, Li Yang completely turned into a repairer, using those black stones to slowly repair the soul crystal. In this way, 3 months passed quickly. Thanks to Zero Eta for the 100 rewards, thank you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. From the city to the strongest in the universe. Author, G. Difeng Ren. Chapter 726. In a strange space isolated from the rules of the universe, Li Yang sat silently. Diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit. In front of his eyes, 2 broken soul crystals were pieced together. At first glance, the 2 soul crystals were perfectly joined together, as if they were not broken. But if you look closely, there is still a tiny crack on it. Searched can on Google. In front of Li Yang, on some black stones, traces of black air flowed out and began to surround the cracks. Gradually, the last crack disappeared. Successful. Looking at this situation, Li Yang breathed a sigh of relief. For 3 months, he did not dare to be distracted in the slightest, and his mental power was highly concentrated. At this time, it was completely repaired, and his heart, which had been hanging, was relieved. With this relaxation, even he felt a trace of fatigue in his soul. It can be seen how difficult it is to repair the soul crystal. Boom! The moment the crack disappeared and the soul crystal was repaired, an extremely terrifying aura wave burst out instantly, and a figure walked out directly from inside. This is a figure that looks similar to an earthling. It has double horns on its head and a vertical eye on its forehead. Come out. I'm finally out. The face of the man in front of him was flashing with excitement. After coming out, this soul recovered quickly, and in the blink of an eye it completely changed from a soul to a life. Then, this being looked at Li Yang. The aura fluctuations on his body are extremely powerful and have completely reached the level of dominance. Even Li Yang, who is close to the strength of a top emperor, is like a simple sailboat in the sea under this aura fluctuation, and may be in danger of overturning at any time. However, there was no awe on Li Yang's face at this time. A smile appeared on his face and he said, "Han Emo, congratulations." He looked at Han Emo, who had fully recovered to his dominant strength, and smiled. Han Emo stared at Li Yang. After 3 seconds, the aura fluctuations on his body subsided. In just a moment, all the pressure around him disappeared. At this time, Han Emo curled his lips and said, "It's boring, boy Li Yang, I am the master, can't you show a look of awe to me?" Except when he first appeared and met Li Yang for the first time, Li Yang was full of fear and awe of him. He never saw such an expression again after that. Hearing this, Li Yang smiled and said, "I regard you as a friend, why should I fear you?" Li Yang was very confident just now, and Han Emo, who had regained his dominance, could not possibly attack him. He thought he knew Han Emo very well. Just now, although the aura and coercion emitted by Soul Emo was powerful, it did no harm to Li Yang at all and could only be said to be insubstantial. And initially, Han Emo also swore an oath of heaven not to deal with him. "Friend." Han Emo turned his eyes and said with a smile, "Boy Li Yang, do you want to become your teacher? I will pass on all my skills to you. Not to mention other things, my ability to refine weapons is at least among the top 3 in the universe. Give me the materials, and I can refine even holy weapons." Holy weapons, think about it. His eyes moved, and along the way, he could clearly see how incredible the luck Li Yang had. Treasure after treasure, without any effort, kept coming to Li Yang. Even the emperor had several holy weapons when he was in Li Yang's world realm. The first sacred weapon he obtained was the Xianmi Qian, a high-level sacred weapon. Li Yang was still in the longevity realm. Rightward arrow. This is totally a child of luck. Hearing Han Mo's words, Li Yang looked at him speechlessly. "I treat you as a friend, but you want to be my teacher?" He directly ignored Han Mo's words, and then asked, "Han Emo, are you fully recovered now?" Yes, seeing that Li Yang had changed the topic, Han Emo didn't insist. In fact, he didn't expect Li Yang to become his teacher. He nodded, unable to conceal the joy on his face. "Thank you a lot this time, kid, otherwise, I don't know when I will recover." He had been thinking about this day when he first met Li Yang, but he didn't expect it to come so soon. "Now that I have recovered, I will start making soul crystals now." Han Emo looked at Li Yang and said, "When the soul crystal is finished, you put a trace of your soul into it. In this case, even if you fail to recognize the supreme holy weapon as its owner, it will be fine." This was a plan he and Li Yang had made before. Even if he had a soul crystal before, he failed. However, without the soul crystal, he would have been dead for who knows how many years. After making the soul crystal, even if Li Yang recognizes the master as him and has an accident, he will be resurrected again. Even if the soul crystal is broken, but with him around, the broken soul crystal can be quickly restored, and Li Yang can also quickly recover from the soul crystal. Akina returns again. This is a foolproof method. Okay, hearing this, Li Yang nodded. The soul crystal looks simple, just a diamond-shaped block, but it is very difficult to make. Just like a mobile phone, it looks simple, but the complexity inside can be called the highest technological crystallization of mankind on Earth. It took 10 years for the soul crystal to finally be produced again. Boy Li Yang, just blend a little bit of your soul into the soul crystal. Han Mo handed over the prepared soul crystal. Li Yang nodded, and he emitted a trace of soul directly. When this trace of soul entered the soul crystal, he instantly felt that the connection between him and this trace of soul was cut off. Like his previous clones, they were actually the same consciousness as Li Yang, and their thoughts were connected. But at this time, Li Yang felt that the trace of his soul in the soul crystal, he could only sense it vaguely, as if it was isolated by something. Is this the soul crystal? Li Yang was surprised. What a wonderful feeling. According to what Han Mo said, although it was his soul in the soul crystal at this time, it was already a completely independent individual. Of course, this independent individual will not grow, and has no consciousness at this time. After Li Yang died, this independent individual will become Li Yang again. This is different from the clone. After all, the clone has Li Yang's thoughts. And now his intercepted soul has no thoughts. When Li Yang is killed by the soul, the consciousness of the soul will instantly appear in the intercepted soul. After handing the soul crystal to Han Mo again, Li Yang looked at the membrane space. Since the preparations are all done, I will start trying to recognize the supreme holy weapon as my master. Li Yang took a deep breath. The mysterious sword in his mind has never stopped fluctuating, but Li Yang had no preparations before, so he was naturally cautious. Even if he trusted the mysterious sword, it was always right to make more preparations. It was just a matter of waiting for 10 more years. And now, everything is finally ready. From the city to the strongest in the universe. Author, G. Difeng Ren. Chapter 727. Li Yang walked towards the film, and then entered the space where the supreme holy artifact was located again. It was still the mirror that looked extremely simple and ancient, with endless pressure spreading throughout the entire space, making people feel extremely shocked. At this time, Han Mo, who had fully recovered, also walked in with Li Yang. Li Yang, the core of this supreme holy artifact is in the middle area between the handle and the mirror surface. There is a smaller mirror there. If you want to recognize the master, you need to integrate your soul into it. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward arrow. Looking at the ancient mirror, Han Mo said, when you want to recognize the master, the small mirror will emit waves of soul shocks, wave after wave, and each wave of power is a surge. I forced myself to withstand the fourth wave and couldn't bear it, and my soul was broken. As for how many waves of soul shocks there are, I don't know. After all, he did not succeed in recognizing the master, so he didn't know much about the information of the supreme holy artifact in front of him. In the entire universe, every supreme holy artifact is unique. If you don't truly recognize the master, it is impossible to know what it is. After saying this, Han Mo looked at Li Yang, with a serious look on his face, and said, Li Yang, you should be able to withstand more soul shocks, but my suggestion is that you should not force yourself. Stop immediately when you feel that you are about to reach your limit. You have such a short time to practice, and your strength can still improve in the future. If you fail this time, you can try again when you are stronger. Once you force yourself to bear it and reach the limit, your soul may be directly shattered. Even if you can be resurrected again through the soul crystal, your world tree clone will be gone, as well as many other clones. He also had clones in the beginning, including the world tree clone and other clones, but after his soul was shattered, all the clones died, and only the main body was resurrected in the soul crystal. Now he has fully recovered, but the world tree clone and other clones are gone. The soul crystal can only revive his main body, and his clones are impossible to revive. Li Yang has so many clones, and those clones will obviously be very useful in the future when he becomes powerful. When Li Yang becomes the master in the future, he will have at least 8 master level clones. 8 master clones are enough to make Li Yang a super strong master. It is conceivable that if Li Yang dies once, the loss will be huge. I know. Li Yang nodded. Although he was extremely eager to recognize the supreme holy weapon in front of him, he did not need to risk his life. It would be better to get this supreme holy weapon. Even if he could not get it, it would not have much impact on him. His strength is still very strong, and he still has many trump cards. Diamond suit, diamond suit. As Han Mo said, if Li Yang forcibly recognized the master and died in the process of recognizing the master, even if he was resurrected, he would not have several clones. Then he wanted to breed a life saint meteor at the level of a natural emperor, which would be nothing but a fool's dream. Unless he found a new world tree and started from scratch come again. This possibility is almost zero. Of course, the most important thing is that Li Yang has only been practicing for a short time, only more than 200 years, and his strength will definitely continue to improve in the future. Just like he is now in the God realm, his strength is close to the top emperor. Later, with the continuous progress of the fusion law, he can completely comprehend the fusion law to the extent of breaking through to the emperor before trying again. At that time, his strength must be at least several times stronger than it is now. Rightward arrow. The limit reached now may not be the limit in the future. Why should he fight hard? Okay, Han Mo, I'm starting. Li Yang took a deep breath, he no longer hesitated, exuded his soul, and then touched the supreme holy artifact. As soon as he touched it, Li Yang naturally knew where its core was, and then his soul was automatically drawn to the core. There was indeed a smaller mirror there. The diameter of the mirror was only 30 centimeters, just like the supreme holy artifact in the outside world was reduced countless times. It's similar to other holy artifacts recognizing their masters. Li Yang clearly sensed that as long as he left his soul imprint on the small mirror, the ownerless supreme holy weapon in front of him would belong to him. Without any hesitation, Li Yang immediately tried to leave the imprint, but as soon as the idea came up, a wave of soul pressure spread towards him, completely isolating him from the small mirror. The first wave of soul impact is coming. Li Yang's face showed a solemn look. With Han Mo telling him about various situations in advance, he was not panicked at this time. However, Li Yang did not dare to be careless. His whole mind was completely integrated into it and began to resist the soul impact. Seeing that Li Yang stopped talking and began to resist the soul impact, Han Mo also took a deep breath. I wonder if this kid Li Yang can succeed. In his heart, he actually hopes that Li Yang can succeed. Han Mo is a loner in the universe, and he has no tribe. He has no idea about the ownerless supreme holy weapon in front of him. If Li Yang succeeds and grows up in the future, it will definitely be of great use to him. Following Li Yang and witnessing Li Yang's continuous growth, he feels that it will be no problem for Li Yang to become a master in the future. After becoming a master, he will have a supreme holy weapon, so Li Yang's strength is naturally needless to say. He and Li Yang have a special relationship, and he also hopes that Li Yang will be stronger. Wait, this recognition process will take at least several decades. This is the supreme holy artifact. Even if the ancestor of creation comes, it will take some time to recognize the master. And Li Yang is just a god. The weaker the strength, the longer it actually takes to recognize the master. He sat down beside Li Yang. If he found that Li Yang was not right, he would forcibly take Li Yang away. He was worried that Li Yang would be like him at the beginning, because of greed, and his soul would be broken. At the beginning, Han Mo was actually very vigilant, reminding himself to give up immediately if he couldn't bear it, but in the real recognition process, it is not possible to give up just by saying so. This is like the psychology of gambling. After losing a few times, you always think that you will definitely win back in the next hand, but you get deeper and deeper, unable to extricate yourself, and finally end up with a miserable end. The same is true for the supreme holy artifact in front of you. After all, no one knows where the limit of the treasure's recognition is. Maybe he will succeed in the next second. Just like that, because of greed, because he always thought he would succeed in the next second, he became what he was before. Just wait patiently. Han Mo did not practice, just sat beside Li Yang, ready to keep an eye on Li Yang's situation to prevent any accidents. Thanks to 08 for the 100 reward, thank you. From the city to the strongest in the universe. Author, G. Difeng Ren. Chapter 728. Han Mo has been paying attention to Li Yang's situation to prevent any accidents. Once something happens, he will take Li Yang away immediately. As for forcibly taking Li Yang away, the recognition process will be forcibly interrupted, and Li Yang's soul will definitely be damaged. But there are treasures in the universe that can repair souls. Compared with soul shattering, this result is undoubtedly countless times better. At this time, Li Yang didn't know what Han Mo was thinking. He was resisting the waves of soul shock. The first wave of soul shock came, trying to squeeze out his consciousness. But Li Yang has been resisting, and in the process of resisting, he can't feel the passage of time. I don't know how long it took, the first wave of soul shock suddenly disappeared, but the moment it disappeared, the second wave of soul shock came. The second wave. Li Yang was still able to stay awake at this time. The current soul shock was nothing to him, and it didn't give him any pressure. Just kidding, this is just a soul shock at the level of the God realm, and Li Yang's true strength is close to the top emperor. Han Mo was a master at the time, and he endured the soul shock of the master level and persisted until the fourth wave of soul shock. Li Yang is now close to the strength of the top emperor, and it is not difficult for him to persist until the fourth wave of soul shock. Soon the second wave ended, and the third wave came again. At this time, Li Yang suddenly felt a huge soul pressure coming. This soul shock finally made him feel a little uncomfortable. It's a bit stressful. Li Yang took a deep breath. The first and second soul shocks had almost no effect on Li Yang. But this third one finally made Li Yang feel a little pressure. It can be seen that Li Yang's recognition of the supreme holy weapon has many advantages over Han Mo. Although the third soul shock came, it put pressure on Li Yang, but it was obviously not that great. I don't know how long it took, this soul shock also passed, and then the fourth soul shock came. This soul shock made Li Yang feel more pressure. However, it was obviously not enough to reach Li Yang's limit, and it was completely within his tolerance. After a while, the fourth soul shock passed. Finally passed. At this time, Li Yang took a deep breath. Before, Han Mo was stopped by the fourth soul shock. And it was not difficult for him to pass the soul shock. I wonder how many soul shocks there are in total. Only Han Mo tried to recognize the master before, and no one knew the specific situation of his recognition. Maybe there are only 4 soul shocks, and after passing, he can recognize the supreme holy weapon in front of him. While Li Yang was thinking. Boom! Suddenly, another extremely terrifying soul shock came. This soul shock, like a steel needle, instantly pierced into Li Yang's soul. Hiss! At the moment of bearing the attack, Li Yang couldn't help but take a breath of cold air, and even cold sweat flowed all over his body. This is painful. Pain. An unimaginable pain came instantly, making Li Yang's face become a little hideous. Starting to approach Li Yang's limit. It's unknown how much time has passed, and Han Mo has been staying with Li Yang to prevent any unexpected situations. At this time, he noticed the change in Li Yang's face. Han Mo's face changed slightly, and there was obviously a solemn look in his eyes. According to the time calculation, 80 years have passed. Li Yang's fourth soul shock has just passed, and he is now experiencing the fifth. Rightward arrow. Each soul shock lasted almost 20 years. Han Mo thought to himself, I wonder how long this kid can last. The fifth soul shock is fixed and will not be strengthened. However, endurance or inability to endure is not calculated in this way. For example, Holding a very hot cup of boiling water, many people can hold it for 1 or 2 seconds, but if you hold it all the time, within 10 seconds, most people will probably find it unbearable and will throw the cup out directly. 1 or 2 seconds, everyone can hold it. But what about holding it for 10 minutes, an hour, a day, or even a year? The pain is fixed, but as time goes by, the pain will continue to increase. Just like a cracked wound, if it keeps cracking, blood will continue to flow out of the body. You can imagine what the result will be. How long can Li Yang hold on? Han Mo's face was solemn. Li Yang felt pain at this moment, but he obviously had not reached his limit. He had acknowledged his master before, and knew what it felt like to reach his limit. Since that was the case, he was not in a hurry to take Li Yang away. The fifth wave of soul shock came, and Li Yang felt as if his entire soul was torn apart. The pain was a little difficult to bear even with his strength. Hold on. Despite this, Li Yang was obviously gritting his teeth and holding on. Although it was painful, it was obviously not his limit. Before, Li Yang thought that he would just try it, and give up if he felt it didn't work. Anyway, his strength could be improved later, and he could come in here again. However, Li Yang was not a person who gave up halfway. He would not leave until he was really close to his limit. If he didn't reach his limit, he would be fine, but he would just have to endure the pain in his soul. The supreme holy artifact is right in front of him, and he can't even bear this little bit of pain. How can he have hope and perseverance to become the stronger person in the universe? Li Yang is holding on. Pain. The unbearable pain came, and this pain was deep in the bone marrow, almost stronger than any pain Li Yang had endured before. It was as if every cell in his body was suffering from pain, and there was no place on his body that didn't hurt. When suffering from pain, time feels very slow. This time, Li Yang felt that an extremely long time had passed, longer than the previous 4 waves of soul shocks combined. Finally, the soul shock that made him extremely painful suddenly disappeared. Has the 5th wave of soul shock passed? At the moment of disappearance, Li Yang also breathed a sigh of relief. This long period of pain was unbearable even for his temperament. He couldn't even think about anything else, and he didn't have the energy to think about other things. The whole person was completely fighting against this pain. However, Li Yang never had the idea of giving up from beginning to end. At this time, Li Yang took a deep breath, with a hint of anticipation in his eyes. Is it over now? Han Mo failed under the 4th soul shock. He is only at the God realm, with a perfect soul and strength close to the top emperor. He is almost unique in the entire universe. Other gods may fail under the 3rd soul shock. Therefore, there is still a possibility that the supreme holy artifact in front of us has only 5 waves of soul shock. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. From the city to the strongest in the universe. Author, G. Difeng Ren. Chapter 729. According to Han Mo, the weaker the person is, the easier it is to recognize the master of the supreme holy weapon. Audience. Li Yang now feels that he is reaching his limit. Is there a god in the entire universe who is stronger than him? Otherwise, it is impossible for anyone to recognize the supreme holy weapon in front of the Lord. Unfortunately, the ideal is full and the reality is cruel. When Li Yang was looking forward to it. Just 1 second after the 5th wave of soul impact. Boom. Another soul shock hits. Tear. Li Yang screamed directly under the soul impact. A crack appeared in his soul under the resistance, and a more severe pain came. The pain that tears apart the soul is 10 times more powerful than the pain just now. Li Yang only felt as if he was suffering in a fiery prison. The 6th wave of soul impact. Next to Li Yang, Hanmo's expression suddenly changed when he saw Li Yang like this. There is still the sixth wave. It is so difficult to identify the owner of this supreme holy weapon. He couldn't bear it during the fourth wave of soul impact, and his soul collapsed and died. The sixth wave of soul impact was probably too much for him to bear for 1/1000th of a second. I was just thinking whether it would be over after the fifth wave of soul attacks. Li Yang, how are you doing? If you can't bear it, I will take you out of this space immediately and cut off the identity of the master, Han Mo said quickly, his face changing greatly. Judging from his eyes, Li Yang was obviously very close to the limit, and he even noticed that Li Yang's soul was injured. Once there is a gap in a complete soul, its ability to resist will be greatly weakened. And it will become weaker and weaker in the future. At this time, Li Yang's face was ferocious. This was the first time that his soul had experienced the feeling of being torn apart. This feeling was at least 10,000 times more powerful than the pain of tearing apart his physical body. I can't bear it anymore. Li Yang also heard Han Mo's words at this time, and obviously had the idea of quitting. My soul has been torn apart. If it continues, it will only get worse. Just like a wound on the body is left to exist, the wound will only get bigger and bigger, and then it will become infected and pus will flow out, and in the end, death will be faced. This is the current situation of Li Yang. His soul will only have a gap torn apart now, but if he continues to endure it, the gap will get bigger and bigger until the entire soul is completely shattered. At that time, it is equivalent to being killed by the soul, and it is impossible to resurrect. Even if there is a clone, the clone will die at the same time. Soul annihilation is what the powerful person with a clone is most afraid of. Therefore, those strong men who master various powerful soul attacks are the ones that other strong men of the same level are least willing to provoke, and they will basically avoid them if they see them. Next time, when my strength reaches its limit and the three systems of fusion laws are about to break through, I will come in again. Li Yang took a deep breath and was about to give up. Although there was a trace of regret in my heart at this time, there was no unwillingness. Just because you can't recognize the Lord now doesn't mean you won't be able to recognize the Lord in the future. He had just broken through to the realm of gods, and his fusion law had only just been understood. As he continues to understand the law of fusion, he will surely be able to refine more of the ancestral dragon essence and blood, and his strength will at least surpass that of the top emperor and become a top emperor. By then he should be able to pass the sixth soul impact. Maybe the sixth soul impact is the limit, and then he will be able to recognize the master of this supreme holy weapon. Let's go. Li Yang was ready to give up. But in an instant, Li Yang's expression changed slightly. Buzz. After his soul was torn apart, the mysterious little sword in his mind that had been silent since he recognized his master suddenly began to fluctuate, and an energy emitted from the little sword. This energy is invisible, but Li Yang can clearly sense it. But when exposed to this energy, Li Yang's torn soul was immediately restored to integrity. What's going on? Li Yang was stunned. His soul was repaired instantly. It is actually difficult to repair the soul. There are treasures to repair the soul in the universe, but they are extremely rare. Even some top experts may not be able to recover after their souls are injured for billions of years. Even if Li Yang had a small wound on his soul just now, it would take at least 10 years to recover using soul treasures, but now Li Yang has recovered in a short time. What kind of energy does the mysterious little sword emit? This small sword only had one technique before, but this is the first time that this has happened. Many thoughts passed one by one, but in fact it was only a moment. And at this moment, Li Yang felt another unbearable pain. Tear. His soul was torn apart again under the sixth wave of soul impact, and he once again endured the pain of his soul going from a complete state to being torn apart. However, soon after, energy emitted from the mysterious sword, and his soul recovered again. Then it was torn apart and restored. At this time, Han Emo was paying attention to Li Yang, carefully checking the state of his soul. What's going on? In his opinion, although Li Yang's soul was damaged, the damage was kept within a very small range and did not increase at all. You know, if you keep flushing a wound with water, the wound will only get bigger and bigger. Han Emo, I can still hold on at this moment, Li Yang's voice came. After saying this, Li Yang tried his best to resist the soul impact. At this time, Han Emo also stopped his actions temporarily. Only a small part of the soul was injured, which actually did not affect anything. Unless Li Yang's soul was damaged by more than half, that would be really close to the limit. It seems that Li Yang has some unknown trump card, Han Emo muttered in his heart. Although he had been by Li Yang's side when he was weak, he clearly felt that Li Yang still had secrets. For example, Li Yang's World Tree clone was left by him. Doesn't he know whether the World Tree has mutated? However, in Li Yang's hands, the World Tree is constantly giving birth to clones, and can even give birth to clones of natural gods. This is like a soul crystal, which violates the rules of the operation of this universe. Even he doesn't know what Li Yang's secret is. How can he exist? Under the soul scan, what trump card does Li Yang have that he doesn't know? But he just can't see Li Yang's secret. This is actually one of the reasons why he is very optimistic about Li Yang and even told Li Yang about this supreme holy weapon. I don't know what Han Emo thinks, but Li Yang feels very sour at this moment. Yes, it is sour. His soul has been torn and recovered. This second, the soul is torn by the soul impact, and the next second it is healed by the strange energy emitted by the mysterious sword, and the next second it continues to be torn, and then it continues to recover. Thanks to Let Nature Take Its Course 2023 for the 1500 reward, and thanks to 08A for the 100 reward, thank you. From the City to the Strongest in the Universe. Author, G. Difeng Ren. Chapter 730. Li Yang felt very sour. This second, his soul was torn apart by the soul shock, and the next second, it was healed by the strange energy emitted by the mysterious sword, and the next second, it was torn apart again. This cycle repeated back and forth, and he had to endure the pain of soul tearing countless times every second. However, Li Yang continued to persist at this time. The mysterious sword can actually restore the soul? What is going on? Li Yang was obviously very confused, but after a little confusion, he didn't think much about it. Although he didn't know what was going on, at this time, he could obviously continue to persist. It's just that he needs to continue to endure the process of tearing and recovery. As long as he persists through this process, he can survive the sixth wave of soul shock. Maybe after surviving it, he can leave a mark under the supreme holy weapon in front of him. Of course, at this time, as long as Li Yang's soul tearing was too painful, he didn't have any energy to think about other things. Time is constantly passing. At this time, every second is almost like a year for Li Yang. The pain of soul tearing may be unbearable only once, and he has to endure it countless times in 1 second. And it is unknown how long the soul shock of each stage will last. In this way, Li Yang continued to endure. After an unknown amount of time, Li Yang only felt that it was longer than his own 200 years, and the soul shock finally stopped. Li Yang felt that after his soul was repaired, he finally no longer felt torn. The sixth wave of soul shock is over, Li Yang breathed a sigh of relief. This stage was like hell for him. Is it over? Li Yang was looking forward to it. With his current soul, realm, strength, etc., he persisted in this sixth wave of soul shock. This was passed with the help of the mysterious little sword. The difficulty of the supreme holy weapon in the realm of gods is the lowest. He passed it with such difficulty, so it should be over. After all, without the mysterious little sword, he could not pass the soul shock at all. If he couldn't pass it, other evil geniuses in the realm of gods would come. Unless their strength could match that of the real peak emperor, they could not pass the soul shock, right? It sounds like a fairy tale to say that gods can match the peak emperor. The entire universe may not have had one until now. Tear. But as soon as this thought came up, Li Yang felt that his soul was instantly broken. Before, only a small part was broken, but this time, a series of soul shocks came, like steel needles, and his soul was directly broken in half under these steel needles. The pain in the soul is unknown how many times that in the body. Just imagine that a person's soul is directly torn in half. How painful would that be? Ah! Even Li Yang couldn't help but scream, and his soul almost collapsed directly, and the whole person's soul was about to collapse. The seventh wave of soul shock. When Li Yang suffered unbearable pain, his face changed drastically at this time. He really didn't expect it. Each wave of soul shock is much stronger than the previous one. According to his estimation, if the sixth wave of soul shock is not helped by the mysterious little sword, it will only be possible after a period of time when his various system fusion laws reach the limit of the God realm and his true strength matches the peak emperor. At that time, it is possible to pass, and this possibility is not 100%. Only those who are in the God realm and rival the peak emperor can pass the sixth wave of soul shock. And now, there is even a seventh wave. Who can pass this? Does this at least require the God realm to rival the invincible emperor? God, rival the invincible emperor? Can anyone in the universe do this? Even if it is himself, he is very confident in himself and confident that he should be among the peak emperors in the future, but he has no confidence that he can become an invincible emperor in the future. There are only about 10 strong people of this level in the entire universe, which is less than the number of dominant strong people. They kill the top emperors in seconds, even the peak emperors will be killed by them. Every invincible emperor has killed the peak emperor. I can't hold on. Li Yang immediately thought of giving up. In just a short moment, the soul was broken in half. If he persisted a little longer, his entire soul would definitely collapse completely. Buzz. Just when Li Yang was about to give up, the mysterious sword suddenly emitted a stream of energy. Under this energy, Li Yang's half-broken soul was instantly restored. Li Yang was about to give up, but before he could say it, he stopped again. At this time, Han Emo was also fully aware of Li Yang's situation, and a trace of shock appeared in his eyes. The soul shock has increased again. This is the seventh wave. He is a master who has endured those soul shocks before. Each wave of soul shock is at least several times the previous wave. At this time, he can fully imagine the horror of the soul shock that Li Yang is enduring at this time. Li Yang, I will take you away. After a moment of shock, Han Emo hurriedly said. When the soul is mostly broken, it is close to the limit, and then the soul may collapse. At this time, Li Yang's soul is already half broken, and it will only take a short time to break it a little more. But at this time, Li Yang's words came directly. Han Emo, I can still hold on. Hearing what Li Yang said, Han Emo said in a deep voice, what are you holding on to? Your soul is broken in half. According to this situation, you may not be able to hold on for 3 seconds. He was about to take Li Yang away by force, but suddenly he stopped again. Because in his perception, Li Yang's half-broken soul was instantly restored. Huh? The soul is restored? What's going on? Han Emo was shocked. Is it Li Yang's trump card? Even a master would need a long time to recover a half-broken soul, but Li Yang could recover instantly. However, seeing this situation, he stopped. After all, in the previous stage, Li Yang's soul was also broken, and his soul was constantly restored. In this way, Li Yang completely persisted until the end of the 6th stage of soul shock. If Li Yang in this 7th stage, like the 6th stage, his soul was constantly restored when it was broken, Li Yang could also persist until the end of the 7th stage. Let's see the situation first. As long as Li Yang's soul can be continuously repaired, he can persist, but once it exceeds 1 second, his soul cannot be repaired. I will take him away immediately. Hun Mo stopped at this time, but he did not dare to be careless at this time. He stayed beside Li Yang and paid close attention to his situation. Pain. Unbearable pain. Previously, Li Yang felt that he could not withstand the impact of the 6th stage soul. However, now in the 7th stage, his soul was instantly shattered in half, and then recovered and shattered again. This kind of pain was unbearable even for him. Even his consciousness began to become blurred, and his soul might collapse in the next second.